Hi, this is Joe again with another movie review, and the movie we'll be discussing in this video is the 1983 film The Outsiders. This is one, excuse me, this is one of the films of the 80s, or early 80s, and it's been, I think the popularity is dying down somewhat, but throughout the 80s was one of the most popular films, especially for young kids. That and West Side Story, that's because it has the gangs featured in it. And also, of course, they wondering, excuse me, they wondering the 80s, they got out within 3 years. Excuse me, within 4 years of this film coming out, the majority of this cast will eventually become big stars. It was the who's who of stars of the 80s. For the main characters, you had Matt Dillon, you had who played on Dallas. You had C. Thomas Howell, played Pony Boy. You have Rob Lowe, played Solar Pop. You had Dow, Patrick Swayze, who played Dow, was one of the lead characters. You had Tom Cruise. You had Emilio Estevez. You have Ralph Macchio, who played Johnny. And you also had Diane Lane, because Diane Lane was waiting for like years before she became a big star. But for most of the cast, they were all guys. Except for Diane Lane, they all became big hits during the 80s. And this is one of my favorite films in the early 80s because of who was in it. And also, of course, it had a good story. It was also based on a novel by S.E. Hinton. And it's about gangs in all places, not in L.A., not in New York, not in Florida, but in Oklahoma. One of the dullest places to have a movie about gangs and class welfare in Oklahoma. Like I said, well, the movie is based on two gangs. One is the Greasers, which is where most of the cast was in. Those are the poor kids who were greasing their hair and leather jackets and lived in a slum part of town. And you have the socialists, the kids who were born with pretty much like a silver spoon in their mouth. And that's where the Diane Lane character lived. It was in that part of town. Or lived in that part of town. And the story was the Curtis family with Patrick Swayze's character, C. Thomas Howell, and Rob Lowe, the three brothers, whose parents are dead, but since Dow is his character is like 18 or over 18, he had custody of the two brothers. He could lose custody of the two brothers if they got into trouble. And of course, there's one particular night where the Pony Boy Curtis character, named C. Thomas Howell, went out with Dallas, and then his close friend Johnny Pepper with Ralph Macchio. They went to the movies and they were walking home. Two girls, one was played by Diane Lane. I forgot the other actress's name was. And their boyfriends were socialists. Got mad because hey, you worked with this scum. And of course, they took him home. The socialists took him home. Well, it's later on when Johnny and Pony Boy went out in the local playground or something. The socialists who were found them earlier came back to gather more revenge on them. And a group of them was drowning Pony Boy in his fountain. And that's when Johnny was knocked down. Put out a switchblade, was stabbing away at all the other kids, killing one of them. So now Pony Boy and Johnny had to move. They were hiding out and they saved a bunch of kids. And of course the whole story came up again. And then of course he had a big rumble scene at the end of the film. And of course when they saved a bunch of kids in the fire of the old church they were hiding out in, Johnny was more seriously injured. Of course, you know what happens. His character dies in the end. Spoiler. And of course, the Matt Dillon character also dies in the end of the film. He was shot by the cop because he went nuts. Because the Johnny character had died. But, and of course, a lot of versions of The Outsiders, there is one particular version that ends after when Dallas, of the Matt Dillon character, dies. There's also another version was that after that scene, they had the courtroom scene. Because they had a hearing in juvenile court about the what happened with the soldier being killed by Johnny. They had that scene, and then after that scene, that's when the movie ends. But there was also one version that came out, I think, on the 25th anniversary of the film. There was a version where they called it the complete novel, where they added scenes that were not in the original version to tell more of a complete story that was in the original novel. But I have not seen that version, so I saw like bits and pieces around YouTube, but not the whole movie, because it always get blocked, or somebody who posted on certain parts, or certain parts were blocked and others weren't, so I was able to see it. But as a film, I'd rather think of the original film because it's much better, much shorter. But it's only, real versions like maybe now a 35-minute film, so it's an extremely short film. Despite the fact that it had a lot of stuff in it, it was only like an hour and 35-minute film. But the film itself was beautifully shot. It was directed by Francis Ford Coppola, one of the few films that he directed that was not, the Godfather films, or I think that was like one of the first and the first film he directed that was not a Godfather film. I think he directed the first two. But I thought he did a great job with this, especially having this young cast that he had. Most of them were either didn't do as many films, or it was like in the first film. But like I said, most of the cast later on became big stars. Like a year later, Ralph Macchio became a big star with the Karate Kid movies. When the first Karate Kid movie came out, like a year later, Patrick Swayze had already done Red Dawn. I think came out the same year. I think a year later, Red Dawn came out, and that 4 years later, of course, his biggest hit as a movie during Dancing came out. But he had William Estevez, who had a steady career in movies. Not really a huge hit. But like the others had. But he had a decent career. And Rob Lowe later on became a member of the Brat Pack. You also, of course, had Tom Cruise, who did, I think, like All the Right Moves. He did. I don't think the movie that first became a hit. I think he already did All the Right Moves, which got him a critical acclaim. Then he did, Risky Business, which I think came out like the next year, which was his breakout hit. Of course, 3 years later, he became an international star with a little movie called Top Gun. Of course, he had Diane Lane was in it. She didn't become a big hit until like 13, 14 years later, but she did a little movie called, she did a bunch of movies in the early 2000s. She did The Perfect Storm. She also did a little movie called Unfaithful, and that was the movie, Unfaithful, with Richard Gere, and she got an Oscar nomination out of that. So she didn't become a big name until like years later. And of course, she did Secretariat, which she previously did a video review for. But it was The Outsiders. I thought it was a very, very good movie, very simple story that a lot of kids could relate to because of the classes, welfare. The two gangs, kind of like West Side Story thing, but it did have a rumble scene in it. This time it was a complete rumble scene, not like a West Side Story was like cut, which was interrupted. The rumble scene was interrupted by the cops. So we didn't have a full-face rumble who was the decisive winner in the rumble. The outsiders, he did. But as a movie itself, it was beautifully shot. The soundtrack was terrific. Plus, that song that was sung by Stevie Wonder at the beginning, opening credits and the closing credits, called "Stay Gold." I don't know if that won the Academy Award for Best Song or was even nominated. I have no idea. But the song itself set the tone for the rest of the movie as the theme of the movie was "Stay Gold." But as a movie, I thought it was a very good film. It was also one of my favorite films, a film that I don't mind seeing over again and again and again because of how good the film was. Plus, like I said again, the young stars and the cast that was in this film. So that's the review of The Outsiders. Please click the video, please like it, please comment on it, please subscribe to my channel, please forward this or link this video on your Facebook pages. Thanks for watching.